Hey everybody, welcome to Self-Publishing Podcast. Today I'm gonna let Sean tell you what we're gonna be talking about because it's super cool and we're trying some stuff and all that. And Sean's officially our idea guy. Like we knew he was the idea guy for the company, but we formalized that a little bit. So
we actually did. Oh, you want to make that your something cool? And then I'll just
yeah, I can. I had another one that, as I said, was weak, but it can be bumped for this. But we'll get to
that.
And my something cool.
Twice.
My something cool will be my rant about this.
Right. Which is why I want to make it my something cool, because my something cool is Dave's something terrible.
Okay, I don't know.
Right. Okay. So I'll go first here because it'll intro the show anyway. So we're constantly trying to tweak. Right. That's what we do.
We're meth addicts, man.
Right.
wait. So are you doing something cool already, or do we want to talk about the topic?
Oh, wait. We're not live on air.
No. We never stopped being live on air.
Oh, okay.
We didn't because we just did a show, so we don't need to do that again. We can't come off air unless we close the
so they're gonna have to separate the video. Okay, go ahead.
And Tammy very wisely asked if we're recording.
It's two separate.
The answer is
yes. We're good. Okay, it's two separate videos.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, y'all caught up?
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, Johnny, I'm doing both of those things. My something cool is the intro for what we're doing. So we're constantly trying to do something. Just make everything.
Last night he was a tweaker. Just so we're clear.
Okay, there's a specific kind of tweaker. I mean, all right. Remember, that's what we call them in the Dream Engine. But no, they're tinkers. Never mind, that's different. All right. Well, we're tinkerers. We're always messing with things to make them better. It's something that's really important to us, and we want we want Self-Publishing Podcast to be the best it could possibly be. And we look at a lot of these other shows that are they're growing really fast, and they're getting a lot of reviews and they're getting a lot of shares. And part of that is us having not done a very good job at giving you guys a community place. I think we corrected a lot of that. The Facebook page is thriving, and that's wonderful. And we really worked on getting the website, and we're so close to having something awesome there. Where there's actually a place where you could go to comment on the shows and, share the shows and all of that. And hopefully, if we continue to do a great job, then we'll get more reviews and all of that. And we will grow our audience, which is what we want to do. And we want to give you guys the best show that we possibly can. But it's not enough to just show up, right? So our last iteration was, okay, well, we're going to make sure that we're under an hour. We're not going to, bullshit for 40 minutes before actually getting to a topic. We're going to
professional intros and outros.
Professional intros and outros, and that was a good first step. But it's not enough. There are things that we could do to make the show better than it is, and it's not enough to just say, oh well, it's okay. That's our brand to be like whatever. Like we can do better. And so. I don't know what Dave's all chuckling about over there. But Dave
I said actually plan the show.
Right. Well, Dave's a large part of this because Dave just even the show we had last time, he's not super comfortable, and I want him to be comfortable, and I want him to be happy to be here and excited. And so I thought,
we're doing a Kickstarter to get Dave Pillow.
So we thought, what would be a really cool idea that it's a simple way to kind of just change this around is that we kind of have something that's going to be planned once per month all through next year. So that's kind of taken care of. And that leaves us 3 shows per month. And we just thought it'd be cool if we each took a turn. And for each one of our shows, we kind of are the lead. We're the showrunner. So we make sure that, we're involving the other 2 people, and we're asking the right questions, and we come prepared. And rather than winging the shows completely, we're actually going to, be a little more proactive on it. And I think that that's going to create not just a better experience for you guys listening, but a better experience for us. It can get Dave excited about it, which would make me really, really happy. It'll make us all show up and just do a better job. And so the very first show that we did, and we'll get better and better at this, clearly, because now this is the way we're going to do it. But the first show that we did this was the last one with Johnny, and that was kind of his. I want to talk about the soggy middle. And
I did not want to talk about the soggy middle.
And so mine was 9 movies that every writer should see. And so I pitched it to the other guys. And that's my something cool is that we're doing this, we're each show running. And I think that's really fun. And so I thought 9 movies every writer should see is a really simple premise, because this isn't like the 9 ultimate movies. It's not that kind of list. It's just like, I had a hard time narrowing it down to 3 because I think there's tons of movies that every writer should see. But I just wanted to pick 3, not think too much about it. And I thought this is a pretty easy prompt to give to the guys, because we've all seen movies and we can all talk about movies, and it's simple structure. And then Dave was like, "Here, I'm gonna let him take it now." All right, you. So my something cool is that I found a new way to make the show better, involve us all, everybody wins. Go, Dave.
Okay, all right. I just want to say, first off, like 2 years ago, I was like, "Oh, we ought to do a show that's like more topical and stuff." And these guys are like, "No, we just want to show up and wing it." Well, not quite, but they're too busy to do like a ton of research. So now that there's going to be work involved,
it doesn't need to be research. We can prepare without having to do a ton of research.
All right. So now, like, okay, so Sean's like, okay, we're going to do this thing, and we're each going to be responsible showrunner. And to me, that means like, okay, you're the showrunner, so you're going to get the other people prepared. So the other 2 people will basically not have to do a whole lot of work for that episode. But no, Sean's just find 3 movies, and I'm like, well, you're assigning me fucking tasks, so now I got to go research and figure out what movies. And I'm annoyed because my memory's not that great for movies. Like I remember like bits and pieces, but not like enough to construct.
Okay, help me out in the comments
why
here.
The movie's good.
I had a hard time too, Dave. I did, because I've seen a ton of movies that I think are great, and I remember finishing them as a writer and being like, man, the storytelling in that was really good. Like, I really appreciated, but they don't come to mind. And so I actually did have a very hard time with this. I almost wanted to say, hey, Netflix, can you tell me all the movies I've seen recently so I can go through, oh, that one was good. I'm with Dave on this. It wasn't easy for me.
Oh my God! This is help me in the chat here.
You gave us fucking work, man.
No. I don't think I'm not resentful like Dave. I didn't think it was arduous like Dave. I didn't think it was a ton of work like Dave. I'm just saying it didn't come.
I actually had to watch a movie last night. I was very annoyed.
Oh my! I'm so sorry you had to watch a movie, motherfucker. That is like, I'm so happy when I get to watch a movie. All right. So first of all,
I was tired as fuck.
Okay. Second of all, you had 40 years of watching movies. Like,
I don't remember them, man. They're gone.
As soon as you start talking, you're gonna remember. I guarantee it. Because
I'm glad this show is more topical now.
Well, we're still in the something cool part right here. This is good. But yeah, you could talk Silence of the Lambs. Like, you could talk about a lot of movies. And the whole thing, it wasn't, and I made it clear, it's not like you can only pick 3. We could do a follow-up, 3 more movies every writer should see. The point is, any movie that can help you talk about story structure or anything. I cannot believe that you actually, like, I'm amazed at the things you find to bitch about. Like, amazed.
I needed to be prompted. I think if I had a list. Oh, that one. Oh, that one. Oh, that one. But coming off the top of my head was
Tammy said,
"Ugh, great movies for writers or something."
Ugh, I have to watch a movie for my job. Silence from the digger.
Right.
Well, it isn't that. It's like you want to find movies that actual like. Are good examples, and that's difficult for me. Sean has like a fucking amazing memory, so it's easy for him. For me, it's like, well, okay, there's that. No, I don't think that'll work. I mean, I'm just like, I'm fucking 5 hours thinking about this shit last night,
dude. Okay, you know why this was an easy thing for me to assign to you? Because I'm thinking, oh, he's gonna pick Let the Right One In. Like, I'm thinking of 10 movies that. You'll like immediately without even thinking. It's so easy. Okay, Christine has a deal for you. She says that if you move your list to active campaign, she'll watch 3 movies for you. Is that deal?
Yeah, shut up.
All right, Johnny, do you have something cool?
Okay, so I've actually bumped my something cool twice. So because of that, I'm going to mention what it is because.
Cheater.
Like, why not, right? And I'll give you my real one. So no, I'm going to give you the real one too. So the reason is the reason it's a cheat is because Dave kind of already did it. But Dave did, well, let me tell you about
not watching the
Robot something, season 2. And I'm like, I started watching Mr. Robot, and I think it's awesome too. But I'm literally 2 episodes in, so that's why it kind of sucks, because it's like, well, they've already talked about it, and I'm talking about it again. Like, me too. That's what that is.
You're also playing Limbo now.
Well, I downloaded it. I haven't actually started playing it, but I do have it. It's on my iPad. The game Limbo that Dave had recommended, Inside by the same.
Now, this is kind of a pattern in my life. Like, I tell people about cool shit, and they like ignore me for a while. Then, like 2 years later, they're like, "Oh, this awesome thing I just found."
No. I love how that's your filter. I love that that's your filter. Because my filter is, Dave pointed out something cool. And at no point did I say, that sounds like shit. I never actually said that and then came around. It was more like, I'm percolating for a while. Boy, I like Dave. I respect his opinions and his tastes. Look, here's a chance. I can download that. I would never have gotten this game.
Logan,
I was opposed to it. It was your opinion that worked on me.
Logan said 2 years from now, everyone's going to hate Indiana Jones.
That's what we're working toward. Yeah. So we're also adding a 4th host to this show to work on the research thing that Dave's worried about. We are going to have a unicorn going to be joining the staff of SPP, so we don't have to do any research. Okay. So my real something cool is, and I don't know how cool this is going to be to people outside the company, but Sean and I recently had a discussion where we realized, and Amy says this in terms of, you realized you're different people. Compared to Dave, Sean and I are very, very similar. And so I fell into the trap of being like, okay, well, Sean and I are the optimists and Dave is the pessimist. Sean and I are the let's take risks, and Dave are like, let's consider before we leap, maybe. Maybe that would be intelligent. But we've actually sort of started to say, like, maybe that's not the case. Like, maybe at least if you compare just the two of us, like, Sean is a big idea guy and I am a little bit more of an implementer. So like all of the really big ideas, a lot of the really big ideas as far as the company is concerned, I'm not talking about story. Those have been Sean's, like Story Shop. That's Sean's idea. I did come up with the idea for Let's Do a Podcast. No, that's not even true. Sean and Dave had the idea for Let's Do a Podcast. For example, I was the one who
he implemented that shit.
I will implement the podcast. So that's actually a perfect example. And so we just have a subtle mind shift within the larger structure of Sterling and Stone to thinking in terms of, we have the joke that Sean wanted to be visionary, right? Like, he wanted visionary on his business card. And motherfucker wants to be visionary on his business card. But there is a little bit of that. And so it's a little bit of, like, I am thinking in terms of operations. So if we're C-level, like, I'm not a CEO I'm not a co-CEO in this company. I'm sort of COO, Chief Operations. So that's just interesting, I think, in terms of structure. Like, we're starting to look at what can we do in terms of having, the roles of each of us within this company. So I don't know that's kind of...
Well, but it does matter to you guys listening, because it means that we're going to do a better job.
I want the title of Idea Assassin.
Oh, I like it. It's very apropos. I think that's great.
I did do a whole almanac on this. If you listen to the Entrepreneur's Almanac, I did do an almanac on this. So that's a little more inside.
I want to listen to that. Yeah, because that's the thing. It's like we have some very big picture things that we're doing next year and the year after, and we're starting to put those plans into play. But like, how do we actually execute those? And how do we move on to even bigger ideas and make sure that nothing falls by the wayside? And with Johnny actually implementing that stuff, it means that we're going to implement better. It means that we're going to have better stuff for you. And it means that we can actually move on and think about new things that we never had thought of before. And already, like, those gears are really turning. Like, we've got some really cool stuff that we're planning for this community for next year. And that just wouldn't happen. But by dividing our strengths and really leaning into them, I think we have...
Discovering our strengths and leaning into them is a good way to look at this. Because I think we had a lot of, let's do this big thing. Usually it happened like this. Sean goes, let's do this big thing. Dave goes, oh, motherfucker. I go, okay, that sounds pretty cool. And then nobody actually does anything until somebody like Amy gets, create a conference, go. And then, or something on the other side, let's do social media. And Dave goes, okay, maybe in some limited way. And I go, motherfucker. And then we don't actually do it. So the step between idea and implementation is now we're beginning to think about that. So you don't care about that. If you do, go to listen to the Almanac episode that I did about it. But like Sean said, this matters to you guys because we're actually we're going to zero in more on the stuff that probably matters to you guys. We're going to do a better job.
So you guys, oh wait, no, actually, never mind.
Speaking of doing a better job, you know who does I don't even know how to do these anymore, because let's face it, without ayahuasca and Hitler and various other things, there just are, I don't have the prompts anymore.
What do you think Hitler would have been like on ayahuasca?
A visionary.
He would have been really dialed in to the universal. That whole Holocaust thing never would have happened because he would have been tripping, talking to Mother Ayahuasca.
Maybe he would have killed the right people.
Oh,
and by right people, I mean
let's just close that box.
The idiot.
Stop.
No, just stop talking.
Just stop everything, and let's turn the conversation and say what is 180 degrees.
Maybe Hitler would have campaigned against bad book covers.
That's probably true. Yeah, I was going to say, what is 180 degrees from where Dave was going to go? And
Could you imagine like a Nazi Germany where they just have like giant book covers instead of like swastikas and stuff?
It would have been I'm going to keep steering the ship. Like, I understand what you're trying to do. I'm going to keep moving.
I'm the captain of the Titanic.
You're not quite there. I'm going to move 180 degrees from everything Dave is trying to do, both good and accidentally evil. And let's say, what is the opposite of that? Well, clearly it's good book cover design. Like, that's what you zero in on. And what really stresses me out about this is that we can't go anywhere with that because there's no single source for a one-stop shop for good book cover design.
There actually is a source, and you must be like the guy from Memento.
I'm moving back.
Yeah.
Moving back.
Where you can't remember who we talk about every week. Our sponsor, 99designs.com/SPP. Maybe you should be writing that on your perfectly chiseled abs.
Right. I used to not be able to do this, but I am currently having a tattoo put on my arm that says that so that I'll remember it. 99designs.com/SPP.
Yes. And not only do they make great book covers, which they do, but they can also help you with like branding for your website. They can help you with designs for shirts and mugs and other stuff. Pretty much any design I need that you have, they've got designers there that they're just waiting to do a great job. And it's such a no-brainer. It's one of those areas where there's literally no risk. If you don't like the designs, then you don't have to pay. You just walk away. But it's not going to happen. Like every time we've ever done a contest, we've had like too many designs to choose from, and it's one of those quality problems, like having to watch a movie for a podcast, I guess.
All right, so I have a question for Dave. Usually in life, you consider that there's nothing good generally, so there's a lot to lose about life in general. Can 99 Designs
Many things can go wrong.
Right. Can 99 Designs help you about just in general? Can they mitigate risk so there's nothing to lose in life?
That would be awesome. That we gotta get with them and see if they can like maybe do another company. Like, I don't know, 99 not problems.
99 problems, but
a book covering one
that are not problems. 99 things. Well, anyway, so there's no saving this ad read. But let's just say that as far as book cover designs are concerned, if you have need for that, or for like Dave said, merch or logos, we've used them for logos. 99designs.com/SPP is the link where you get the Power Pack upgrade, valued at $99, gets you more designer time and attention, so you get more designs. Because without that, like, maybe you'll just have zillions of people designers competing with swords to do your design. But this is a zillions times many more. That's falling apart on me. And if you use that link, and you get your design and you want to showcase it to the world, send it to us at help@sterlingandstone.net. We'll put it on our special page at sterlingandstone.net, /99 designs where you can go to see the other examples. I can just see people being like, well, how do I know that there's good book cover designs that they do? And you say, well, go to sterlingandstone.net /99 designs and you'll see all sorts of great shit. So there you go. So use them. There you go. So
Logan said, I wish prostitutes were more like 99 designs where you could just walk away without paying if you don't like it.
Logan's classy.
Yeah. Melissa said, I miss Dave's locks partially obscuring his eyes. So I'm going to put my hair down just for
Oh, yeah. See, Dave watched his movies. Now he's letting his hair down. This is good.
There we go.
You're so goth.
he really is goth.
Wow. I didn't
Do
realize.
you guys remember goths in trees?
That's classic shit right there. Okay. So let's start with Johnny, because it would suck to call on Dave after making him watch a movie. And be prepared by thinking of 3 for the podcast.
3 movies for writers. By the way, Angry Birds
this-
is one of my movies.
This was a
I'd love for you to do that and play it straight.
This was a little bit tricky because, like Sean said, like it's tempting to be like, these are the best movies, like you must watch these, and we are saying that writers should see. So I was like, well, I don't want to choose the wrong movies, so I actually stepped back and chilled the fuck out rather than making it a big deal, and tried to pick movies that represented a few different genres. So I've always thought that that Alien, the first Alien movie, does the spectacular job of using it's like minimalist storytelling, because there's not a lot going. There's like 7 people in the entire movie.
Yeah, that's a great choice. And did you notice there were people were talking about Alien in the chat from last episode? I
think I saw that, but I don't remember the context. But if you look at specifically the duo of Alien and Aliens, Aliens is the sequel. I've always felt like Aliens had this, and I actually don't know like Blockbuster on this, but Aliens had this large success because it was this big action adventure movie, and it had some sort of iconic scenes, and there's a lot of shooting. And stuff.
It's just It's so James Cameron. Like it's
right.
Just, it's big.
But
also
Aliens,
Sigourney Weaver in that big yellow mech suit.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Right, and Alien, I think that Alien is a horror movie, and Aliens is an action adventure movie. There's a lot, or suspense anyway. Maybe not horror, but it's a suspense movie.
It's suspense for sure.
And I appreciate the economy of storytelling in that. It's not, because Aliens is bigger, better, faster. It's more shit, more aliens, blow things up, have grenades, have big guns, have big mech suits, and big explosions and big set pieces. Whereas Alien is it's quiet. And by the way, that movie, my dad and I used to watch it over and over and over again. And what I remember, one of the things that we always said is, I think it was 1978 that movie came out.
That's right.
And it is so not dated. And that's astonishing to me for a movie that is almost 40 years old now. A sci-fi movie that you aren't like, because some you're like, it's just embarrassing. It's like, oh, come on. Like,
well,
it's the flying cars phenomenon.
They didn't make it look like, they didn't try to make a fancy spaceship or anything. It looked like a oil rig. Right?
Well, and it was a mining vessel. The Nostromo was a mining vessel.
They kind of future-proofed the movie by not making it look very much like the future.
Now, this is a movie, so obviously for writers, you would be adapting these techniques. But some of the things that I really, really always appreciated about Alien was, number one, the economy. As I said, I don't remember. I want to say 7 people. It's either 7 or 9. That's the entire cast. There's nobody else in the entire movie. And so it's just like they did very little, and then just correspondingly few sets. And so they did a lot with a little. Now, I'm sure those sets were expensive and all that stuff, but that said, it is a very economical movie. And second, it's the alien, like, you respect the alien more. You know what I mean? Like, it's more of a game. It's a strategic movie. It's a suspense movie. It's got the iconic scene where it's Tom Skerritt's character, I don't remember his name, is moving through the vents, and the alien is following him. And you see that, and it's been parodied a bunch of times, where there's the dot behind it. It's like, it's right behind you. It's right behind you. And that doesn't really occur in Aliens, because it's this, I mean, it's not an intellectual game, but it's very suspenseful in terms of, where is this one alien? There's only one of them. But the main thing I was going to say, because you were saying like future proofing, is that everything seemed used, practical, and lived in. So you would need to adjust it if you're writing, but there's no unnecessary bells and whistles. It's like, they have light switches to turn on lights just like we do in our houses. Everything looks like it's been pressed about 1,000 times. Do you remember, I think it's Event Horizon, where Lawrence Fishburne's chair like moves around the cockpit. Do you remember that bullshit? It was hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It was like, what the fuck is that? Like, he can't stand up and walk from one place to the other. And it would just
in the future, we're lazy.
Right. It would just be like move around and it's
like Wall-E.
Forward. Right. And it's like, no. It makes more sense to me. There's just chairs. There's chairs and there's consoles. And they eat in a mess hall. And they're just, So anyway, I always appreciated those things about that movie. I think it's a smart movie.
I'm going to go, unless Dave wants to go.
You can go.
All right. So my first pick is Casablanca.
Never seen it.
You've never seen Casablanca?
No. I saw it, but I saw it a long time ago and I don't remember it.
Yeah, I saw it a long time ago. I think first time I saw it, I was like 15 or 16, and I was already a movie buff, loving movies. And I knew it was one of the greatest of all time, so I had to go see it. Rented it and thought, this is kind of boring and I don't really get it. And I watched it probably 10 times since, and it's just a perfect film. It's just so good. And
how did it go from boring to being perfect?
Because I understand it more. Like I understand more.
I know I was bored when I watched it, but again, I was brand new. Robin and I were meeting, and I was
watched it in a Kmart.
Johnny, watch it as a writer. It's a totally different experience, and it is amazing. If you watch it as a writer, it's really kind of great. And
Sam said ayahuasca, boring to awesome in 30 minutes.
Well, that's
probably not even that long.
Not even that long. Yeah, it's kind of remarkable. Like there's a reason it's such a classic. It just does everything really well. It's a great love story. Economy of script. It's the first screenplay I ever wrote or ever
wrote. Wow.
No, I ever read, because when I decided I wanted to start, reading or writing screenplays, like I wanted to go to very classic, and I read that screenplay and then watched Casablanca with Cindy a couple of days later, and it just I loved the script, and then watching the movie after reading the script, I loved it even more. And
I felt that way about Porky's Revenge.
I could see that. It's just as a writer, if you're looking at like how well it does all this stuff, the dialogue in that movie is crazy good. Like it's always delivering story information in exactly the order that you need it. And really you see so much character in the way that just the story is character and dialogue. And that's awesome. And if you look at that, there's so many lines in Casablanca that we just take for granted. So play it again, Sam. Here's looking at you, kid. We'll always have Paris. Round up the usual suspects. This is the start of a beautiful friendship. Like there's just these are classic lines that we all know, and they were all in this movie.
Get off my plane.
Right.
Thanks on the motherfucking plane is also in that.
The script is just super, super tight. The atmosphere on the movie is amazing. Like it's right there in the very tense part of World War II. And you got great motivations. If you don't know the story, it's this guy who has just been wronged in love, and now he looks out for no one, right? He only takes care of himself. It's like Humphrey Bogart's ultimate role, and he only takes care of himself until his old love comes back into this bar that he owns, and she needs help, and he's not going to look out for her because A, she wronged him before, and B, he only looks out for himself. And by the end of the right, you would very much identify with him. And then by the very end, of course, he risks everything for her because he's straight up. It's very it's exactly what you want in any kind of narrative where you have the main character. He actually tells the audience, no, I will never stick my neck out for no one ever. And then he makes you believe that he means that. And then at the end, he grows past that. And that's just kind of amazing. And the ending itself is just
then he gets
perfect.
stabbed in the back, and it's so
he does not. He, does not
he regrets. He's like, I knew I shouldn't have helped anybody.
It's just one of those movies where it really does do everything right, and it's short. It's like 90 minutes, maybe even less. Just rent it. It's absolutely worth watching.
Why does Logan have a laser disc? Isn't he like 12?
It's like hipsterish.
Like, come on, laser discs.
So I'm my first movie is going to be The Descent, which
love that movie.
Yes, which is one of those. I love when
that was one of the movies that was on my list for you to pick. See, this is not hard.
So I love a movie that like I feel like I discovered like I saw it like opening week, or there wasn't a whole lot of buzz about it, and like it hadn't been ruined for me yet. Like people just hadn't built it up to be this thing. And I went in, you know, it looked like a horror movie, and a lot of times I love horror movies that are done well, but I hate them when they're done badly. So I didn't know what I was getting into. So I go to see this one. It was a movie I think done out of UK. It was about a group of women who go spelunking in, I forget where it was in America. Basically, they're all on vacation together, and they're going to go spelunking into these caves, like in North Carolina, Alabama, or something. I don't know. And
please make it Alabama so you can do the accent.
Well, it becomes a monster movie. Like they run into like these mutated things that live in the caves underground that basically want to kill them. And it's a very simple concept. And like if you've seen it done so many times in movies badly that like if I knew exactly what it was, I might not have even gone to see it because like, oh, this is gonna be another one of those movies. But it wasn't. It was so beautifully done. And the thing that I loved about it was that it was one of the horror movies that gets characterization right. The first half of the movie is like set up, and hopefully that's not boring to modern audiences, but you're getting to know these characters, and there is an existing rift between them that the story hints at, but you don't really know. A problem, and that sort of you find out as the movie progresses, and there's like a payoff towards the end. And I love how well it did characterization, and you got to like these women and feel for them and feel bad for them and all these things. Like you had emotional attachment to these characters that were about to have their lives thrust into danger. And the second half of the movie becomes like really dark and grisly and gory. It's not like torture porn gore, but it's pretty severe. And I think a lot of times, like with movies like that, like Saw, or not the first one, but movies like that, they get the bad rap. The reason they get the bad rap is you don't care. You don't have a connection to the characters, and they're in all these danger, and people are dying and shit, and you don't care because you've not bonded with them. You don't like them. And I think what made this movie so good is that you cared about what happened to them. And as they were fighting for their lives, it wasn't just like, oh, what cool dismemberment scene are they going to show now? It's more like, oh my God, please don't let anything happen to her. Oh, no. And you're like, oh shit. And you're like, get out. So the whole time you're like really invested in it. And that works on a very visceral level. And it makes horror what it can be when it's at its best, like true horror. Like you are just scared shitless, and that movie did it very well.
They also did a great job with there's like, it's almost a relief when you see what's after people, because the buildup is worse, and there's a lot in that movie where they're just in dark place. I mean, the idea of being in caves is terrifying to me.
Oh yeah, I'm claustrophobic too. So as they're going deeper down in entire spaces and shimmying, and like I just felt the walls closing in.
Right, and if the lights go out, there is literally no light, like literally, and that's what the setup is just so great. And before they actually see the things, it's like it's absolutely terrifying. Like what's waiting in that dark?
Yeah, Dave's mentioned this movie at least 10 times, and it's always in relation to character. Like they set up the character so that you care about what happens to them, and that is the big takeaway. And I've actually never seen it. And
what?
I know you always say that. You both have highly recommended it, but now that I know it's one of the 9 movies that every writer should see, I'm adding it to my queue officially. I've been wanting to watch it forever, but I will. Johnny, you have number 2?
Does Johnny have number 2? Yeah, I'm gonna go with American Beauty, which is I just love that movie. It's just beautiful. Okay, so I mentioned that I was kind of going by genre, and this is the literary one, right? Like American Beauty, there's no fantastical things that occur. It's just
there is that beautiful plastic bag.
There is the beautiful actually. There was a moment in a recent meeting that I was listening back to where I go, "Oh, it's so beautiful," and I remembered at the time the plastic bag like just flying around. John and I, but it does so much right, and it's so. I don't even know how to describe why I like that movie so much. It's just the characters are fantastic. Just everything about it is great. I know I'm just listing superlatives. If you guys can help me out with why that movie
I like the setup. You see Kevin Spacey is this middle-aged white guy that just he feels like his life is just utter shit. Like he's living, like he's got a nice job, he's got a nice house, and like he's got the quote American dream. But he's absolutely fucking miserable. His relationship with his wife is miserable. He's estranged from his daughter, more or less. And they really set it up. So it's, you feel it. And I saw this before I even had a family, or live in the American dream and felt the trappings of that, that I think the movie really speaks to. But you could just feel like like how trapped he is. And like when he snaps, it's just like a thing of beauty.
It's an awakening to beauty movie is what it is. It's a little like if anybody's seen Pleasantville in that way, which is also
I love Pleasantville.
Very, very good. But it's like and it reminds me honestly, like Dave's gonna laugh. It reminds me of what Sean says about why he likes flowers, right? Because it's an ephemeral beauty. Like they're beautiful for a short period of time and then they die. And the fact that they die is what makes them beautiful. And I think that there's a lot of that in this movie because like this, I can't imagine this is a spoiler because it's in the first scene. You find out that he's going to die. Like I think the first line is my name. The first line is my name.
The narrative device is really cool.
And in so many days I'm going to die. And so it's like a week, right? It's like he wakes, he slowly snaps and he becomes like the guy he should have been. Like he wakes up, he takes risks, he becomes more in love with his wife, he appreciates the world a little more, and then he dies.
And one of the scenes that I think was really powerful was like he had a crush on his daughter's underage friend, and he was like obsessing over her like the entire movie. And there's a scene where he finally like gets her alone, and I think she was drunk, I don't remember, and she is like,
I don't think she was drunk. I think she's got real serious esteem issues.
Yeah, so she was just ready to have sex with him, and there was this moment where he was about to, and like it's this thing in his head that's like taken over, and it's become like a goal, and like I think he's attracted to the innocence, and like it's just the opposite.
It's the ability. No, it's the starting over. It's that like she doesn't know how ruined he is or how average. Yeah. Like he sees himself as this average thing that's just been beaten down by marriage and the banality of life, and she sees him as this older man who's like wizened and knows things, and right. So
but there's that scene though where like he's like built it up, and like in a lot of other movies they would have went the other way with this, but in this movie like there's a moment where he just freezes and he realizes, holy shit, like this isn't what I thought. This is like a young girl whose life I'm about to destroy. Like that reality like hits him, and it's like a flicker in his head, and he realizes everything that went wrong. He's like, holy shit. And like that was like a train just crashing right there.
It's even worse than that. And I guess I should say just a little bit too late that any of these movies we mention, we're going to spoil. So there's more of American Beauty that I'm about to spoil. So just so you know, like any movie we mention, we're going to spoil it. She's, if I'm remembering right, she's a virgin. And so he feels the responsibility.
But that catches and that's actually really good if we're talking about why writers should watch this movie because they set her up as this really slutty, unaffected, like, oh, I you know what I love doing? I love blowing casting directors. Like she actually says that in the movie. And then later she's so vulnerable. Like when he unbuttons her.
And that's what stops them.
Right. And so
this responsibility of like, I can't do this to you.
Yeah. And you have all the stuff with Ricky Fitz and his father, right?
That's the other thing I was going to mention, which is fantastic.
Go ahead. Yeah, it's one of my favorite dynamics I've ever seen in a movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Great characterization. So that's mine. So next.
Yeah. Well, I've got two worrying for me. I had one that I wrote down and then one that I actually think I want to bump it for, but maybe we'll just do a sequel later. I don't even know if we're going to get through all of ours today because we're.
No, I think we're good because we did something cools and cover. Like, I think we're good. I think we're on.
All right. So my second one, I'll actually save it. I'll stick to my list. Is Usual Suspects.
Oh, I said that was mine, you cunt.
Was the other
go
one
ahead.
No. I gave you guys my list a week ago. That's fine.
By any chance, was the other one 7?
I
actually do it because we are running short, so we'll both talk about it.
Oh, okay. That's cool. I did have 7 on my original list, and I bumped it for Usual Suspects, actually.
Yeah, 7's very, very good, too.
7's great. But yeah, Usual Suspects just has this soup. Okay, so now this is 8 movies every writer should see. But Usual Suspects just has the best ending. And it's not that it's
we're going to spoil it.
Yeah. It's not that it's a twist ending or a trick ending. It's that it's just so well seated throughout the film that when it happens, you just get this. It's just the pure joy of, wow, that is how you tell a story. And it also gives us one of the best villains of any movie all time with Kaiser Soze, which is just.
I just remember jaw dropping on that.
So basically, you got these guys that are all involved. They all get rounded up, put in prison or put in a jail, questioned for their role in a heist, and then they do another heist together, and you come to find out that they're being controlled. They've all been kind of put together by this criminal mastermind, Kaiser Soze. Kevin Spacey plays one of the guys, a very meek man with he's a con artist.
Verbal Kent.
Yeah. And he walks with a limp. His left leg is his left foot is completely twisted. His left arm doesn't work. But in the very beginning of the movie, they open with Kaiser Soze in the shadows shooting somebody, and you don't see him, but you see that he uses his left hand to shoot the person. And that's sort of like the first misdirection. They do a few misdirections.
The movie is filled with misdirection. Yeah, and
they show because Kevin Spacey's character is the one like talking because it flash forwards and flash back in the beginning and present day, like he's being questioned by the cops about something. So he is like giving this information, but you begin to realize soon that like not everything he's saying is true. And then at the end, did you want to say the end?
Well, I think it's okay. The movie is 25 years old.
Well, I mean, since it's your movie, you talk about it.
Well, okay. So the end, it turns out that Verbal Kent, this cripple, is actually Kaiser Soze. And you've had so much buildup as to how awful Kaiser Soze, like he's scary. The backstory that they give him is just so nutso crazy. So there's this Hungarian drug runner, and he's basically doing stuff for the mob, and then he comes home, and a rival gang has his children and his wife, and they like have them all at gunpoint, and they rape his wife, and they say, okay, we're gonna come back unless you give us your territory. And so Kaiser Soze just shoots his wife in the forehead and then turns the gun and shoots all his children and leaves. And he's like, I'd rather kill my own family than succumb to you. And then and Verbal is giving this whole narrative. And then he goes and he kills every single person and their families and their families' friends. And he leaves one person alive to spread the, stories about, Kaiser Soze. And it's just kind of like, damn.
But I was reading an article. There's actually debate between the director and the writer as to how much of the story that Kevin that Verbal was giving was actually happened.
Right, and we don't know. It's so ambiguous.
And not even they have disagreement over whether it happened or not. How much of it was bullshit?
Right, and that's the magic of the story, because you feel like you were told a great story. But so there's all this stuff like there's a lawyer named Kobayashi, and Kobayashi is the name of the ceramic company that makes the mug. And there's the Skokie, and he's like, when I was in a barbershop quartet in Skokie, Illinois, and you see that, you know, there's the little billboard or the push pin board is made in Skokie, Illinois.
So he's pulling elements from his story, from his surroundings. He's like making it up as he goes, essentially.
It's all bullshit, except there's probably kernels of truth, because
I think he did get all those people on the boat to like.
Well, sure, but
how he did it, though, I think it's different. Yeah.
Right. But all those little misdirection things tell you that his story ultimately is bullshit, even if there's some truth there. Mm. And it's just it's such solid storytelling. I think that maybe now, if that movie was made, it wouldn't work quite the same way,
because Kevin Spacey's known and everybody knows.
Well, Kevin Spacey took the world by storm in a very short period. It was like, you know,
I like him in Swimming with Sharks.
The Suspects.
Yeah, you know. Okay, so here's a really, because Seven almost made this list, right?
And Seven, Christine actually linked to a Smarter Artist episode, Smarter Artist 202. Why every writer should watch Seven.
Yeah, because Seven, I think I recorded that one, right?
I don't know, but you might as well go into it a little bit, because that is a masterful story.
It's so good, and the ending is so good. But something interesting about Kevin Spacey with that movie, he was starting to get a name. He was not the usual suspects Kevin Spacey yet. He was not nominated for anything, but people kind of knew who he was, and so he fought really hard, and I think this is really cool. He fought really hard during the marketing for that movie. He went in and he had his agent take his name off the posters and off all the commercials, all the trailers, so nobody knew that Kevin Spacey was in the movie. Because they didn't want to do that. The studio didn't want to do that. His agent had to fight really hard for that, and they'd never seen that before, because actors don't fight to get their names off of movies, right? But he did,
unless you were in a bad one, like.
Well, right. But Seven was really good, and he knew it would be really good. But people would know. There's a scene where he's in the stairwell, and you see him straight up, like, you know, that's the bad guy. Mm-hmm. But nobody's looking for Kevin Spacey. So when they see him in the stairwell, you know, well, now it's different because it's, you know, 25 years later. But back then, if you saw him in the stairwell, you don't know who Kevin Spacey is. You're not thinking about it. He's not in the trailers. So that guy just is anonymous. And that really makes the movie work. And that's really great direction, you know? So Kevin Spacey just said, I don't want to be a part of the marketing, because I want audience members to be surprised that when they see, what does he call himself? Is it John Smith or something?
I don't know.
I don't remember. It's something anonymous.
Well, anyway,
but yeah, I mean,
movie, it's super, super, super dark. But if you can put up with the darkness, you know, like,
yeah, it's about crushing hope. I mean, that's what it is. But it's which makes Dave very excited. So we should move on, but I just want to mention one more thing, and this is cinematic about Seven. But it's the sort of thing you can replicate in a book if you're careful and you know your tools. And this may be just like everybody knows this and whatever, but I think it's really, really cool, is that Seven starts out very, very dark. Like there's virtually no light, it's raining, and it gets progressively lighter. Like the rain lets up, and it's like the dawning of hope. And it just gets brighter and brighter. And then by the climactic scene is in a wide open meadow, no clouds in the sky, bright, bright day. And then you get, spoiler, Gwyneth Paltrow's head in the box, right? And then it's just, the ending is just like the darkest scene in the entire movie. And that tonal shift, yeah, that tonal shift is just astonishing. Like the idea that it was building hope, because that's one of the things too. Like the world's a shit place, and they get a little. I imagine this being Dave's life story. A little more hope, and then it's over. It's over.
Yeah, one more thing on that movie, just because we're already here. I know, but this is we're talking about why they're important for writers. I mean, we could skip other movies, but we should be thorough with what we have. But for Seven, it's the whole thing that we talk about with the obligatory scenes, and that movie has all these obligatory scenes where you have to discover the body, but it keeps changing it. Like each one is interesting. And so in that movie, most of those movies like that, you have the obligatory scene where they find a body. This movie is about finding those bodies over and over and over. And yet it continues to make it interesting. So when you're telling your story, you don't have to be worried about not having those scenes or not even escalating them. It's about how do you make them interesting. But yeah, let's move on to the last one.
I need to go, but before I do, I'm going to talk about my movie, Old Boy.
The original?
The original, right?
Yeah, and I don't want to spoil the ending because I think everybody should watch it. But
but what a mindfuck of an ending.
Yes. And the thing I love about this movie is they start off with a rather reprehensible guy. He's basically imprisoned by somebody he doesn't know for several years. And while he's like in a room, like in this place, and he's kept a prisoner. While he's in there, he busts up and he basically gets control of his life. He was out of control before, and he had screwed people over. And basically, it's a revenge flick where somebody did this to him to get revenge for something that he did a long time ago in his oblivious life
and he doesn't know.
Right, and he doesn't know. So he finally, the person lets him go, and basically he's free to go now. But he wants revenge, so he's looking to see who did this to him, and he's in this position where he's finally got his life in order. He's not a drunk anymore, but he's lost, and he needs to find out who did this to him. He needs revenge, and he falls in love with this girl, and that comes into play at the end of the movie in a very big way, like how he's screwed over. But the reveal at the end of the movie, which I'm not going to give away again, is just one of the best in cinema. And I like how they seeded it. They basically they put him in a corner, and all his options were narrow and narrower as the movie progressed, and he could only go in one place. And it was just a very masterful sort of movie, and it's the kind of movie that you see once and you remember forever. And there's very few movies that I feel that are like that, and this was just one of those things where setting up your huge ending, whether it be a twist, climax, or whatever, you got to sow those seeds really early. And this is a movie that does that in a masterful way.
Was that the one you had to rewatch?
No, I watched The Usual Suspects.
And then I stole that one?
Yeah.
So you had to watch
I don't think you did give us your titles. But,
okay. I can't believe
I did it. You actually asked me twice, dude.
All right.
I thought you mentioned The Fountain.
I need to go because I have an appointment I have to keep. So,
all right, dude. Have fun. Have a great weekend.
All right.
So bye. Sean and I will stick around and finish the last bit. But bye, Dave.
Bye, Dave.
Have fun. And I almost feel like when Dave mentioned twists, I almost feel like we should have mentioned some of the early Shyamalan movies, but whatever. I guess we just have to do this again.
I like this. I think we should do a follow-up episode.
Yeah, we can do a follow-up. So I guess I'm the final movie then, right? Because you and Dave shared that one, although we did get 7 as well.
Well, I had 2. I still have a third one, but whatever.
Okay, so we can do that after. I'll just continue because I'm already going. I picked Run Lola Run, and I
love Run Lola Run.
I picked it for device reasons, right? I like that movie. I think it's really great, but I'm not recommending because it's an amazing movie. I'm recommending it because of what they did with it. And if you haven't seen Run Lola Run, it's basically 3 stories, 3 ways her day could have gone, right? So, and they hinge on these little incidentals. I actually don't remember them that well, but do you remember them, Sean?
Yeah, it's actually really simple. It's like somebody in her way on the stairwell as she's running down the stairwell, but
right. And either the guy gets in the way or he doesn't.
Well, right. It throws her into a different branch of reality, actually. That's what it is, right?
And there's all these things that occur because she's either stopped or she isn't stopped. So, for instance, in one, I want to say that she locks eyes with a guy in a car, right? Because she's a half second later or half second earlier, and that ends up playing out. I know that there's one where she finds out that, I forget why this occurs. I wish I could remember because I didn't watch it again. Like Dave, I didn't, throw myself on the altar of sacrifice and watch it again. But in one, she finds out that she was adopted because she has to, I think she's able to ask who she thinks is her father for money because he's a banker, because she wasn't able to get the money a different way because of another string of circumstances. And it's the movie is about sort of the the capriciousness of the coincidences in our lives and how things can hinge on a certain thing. Actually, Sliding Doors did this.
I love Sliding Doors too.
Yeah.
Actually, I love the premise of Sliding Doors, but the movie
execution is not that good. Yeah. Sliding Doors is Gwyneth Paltrow either makes a subway or she doesn't, and that's the whole movie, is how her life could have played out if she made it versus if she didn't. Two other movies that are sort of in this vein that I considered just not in exactly the same way, but they're vignette stories is Pulp Fiction and Edge of Tomorrow. Both do different time things that I think were really super cool. So I actually vetoed those in favor of this because I like the idea of the smallest things make the biggest difference. And I have everything everything, my wife, my family, everything hinged on, like if somebody had gotten in my way in a stairwell, I wouldn't have it. Like it was one of those things, like I ran across somebody at perfectly the exact time. And so I think that we all have these moments in our lives that if it had gone just 2 seconds different, everything would have been different. And so I think the storytelling in that is just amazing, something to really pay attention to.
Okay, so do we have time for my last one, or should we?
Yeah, if you can do it reasonably quick, I think we got time.
All right, so adaptation is my third one. And that is an actual, like, 4 writers. This movie
because fuckfish.
Because fuckfish. Yes, adaptation is so good. And it's good for, like, it's not good in the way other movies are good. It's good in the way, like, if you write, the first time I saw it, I loved it because I loved Charlie Kaufman. He did Being John Malkovich and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and last year's Anomalisa. I just think he's a great writer who really has big ideas. And this is a big idea movie. And in short, he's coming off Being John Malkovich, and people love Charlie Kaufman. And so Susan Orlean wrote for The New Yorker. She wrote a book, or a long article called The Orchid Thief, and they wanted Charlie Kaufman to adapt it, but
this is in real life.
This is in real life, and so he tried to adapt it, but it's like this article about an orchid thief, and he's like, I don't know what the story is here, and and so he writes his movie adaptation about how he can't adapt this article into a movie, and it's just kind of amazing how much, like, audience fuckery he does. And he gives himself a twin brother, and the twin brother, they're both played by Nicolas Cage, and actually I swear he's good in this movie. And his brother, Charlie Kaufman is the main character, but he has this brother named Donald. So Charlie is writing all the time, and Donald's like, I'm gonna go write a movie, and he comes up with this terrible movie idea, and then he sells it for millions of dollars while Charlie's toiling away on making his art. And then they go to this Robert McKee story seminar, and Robert McKee is like, it's all about the third act. And he just tells him, as long as you deliver in the third act, that's all that matters. You need a car chase, you need drugs, you need nudity. So the whole movie is like this straight narrative about trying to adapt this, and then it goes off the rails in the third act, and there's a car chase, and there's nudity, and there's a whole porn ring, and nothing makes sense, and you're like, oh my god, he just totally mind fucked me. And it's just really good. And if you are a film lover or a writer, you should really check that one out.
Yeah, I'm not going to describe it because we've been on for too long, but I would add Mulholland Drive as a bonus.
Oh, yeah.
Because mindfuck made me think that. I had to get through that entire movie, then stop and think about it and do some internet research, and then I said, oh, you know what? I liked that movie. And it was just like the balls on anybody who can write a movie where it's like, you have to stick with it, because what the fuck is going on through the first, like, 2/3 of the movie? You're like, what is up with this movie? And why are these actors so bad? I know Naomi Watts can act well, so why is she terrible? But he's doing something. And I just thought of that when you were talking about.
And that's the takeaway from all of the movies I think that we've talked about today, is these are all people who are craftsmen. Like, these movies are not accidental. They're not popcorn. Even if they're commercially successful, they are just so well constructed. Like Casablanca was a huge movie, but it's also endured because its structure is so strong, its characters are so strong, its writing is so strong. So I think all of the movies that we talked about today They're entertaining, certainly, but there are specific, tangible takeaways for you as writers that can make your art better.
Now, before we go, Sean, I'm going to challenge you to pick one movie from this list, because I'm seeing people say they haven't seen any of them. And which one would you pick if somebody's going to watch one of these movies?
Well, I would have to know their why. Like, what are they trying to get from it? Because adaptation is just like the biggest idea one. But probably Casablanca. It's short and there's just so many takeaways there. If you can, like, Logan may just barf because it's black and white. It's just too old. But if black and white doesn't bother you, it's just so good.
I'm going to go with American Beauty because it's so accessible. Like, you don't have to be into any genre. Like, American Beauty is just, it's the most mainstream for anybody here. Like, it's not in black and white, Logan. It's contemporary. It's funny. And it's about character, and you don't have to like sci-fi or horror or anything like that to really, and it's just a beautiful movie. So that would be my.
Oh, Logan, A Philadelphia Story is great. That's awesome.
That's Tom Hanks. Is that right?
No, you're thinking of Philadelphia. A Philadelphia Story is Cary Grant.
Oh, okay. Well, Philadelphia Story, Philadelphia Experiment.
They're pretty much the same, all of them. All right. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening. I enjoyed this format. I hope we do this again.
Yeah, this is cool. So thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you next time.